Today is the 2 July 2022. We will have a conversation today, kind of reporting the effort to the West Supreme Court, and will be something tough and maybe a hard talk, but we must have, and was presented yesterday, the obstruction of justice. We will consider that the very first effort we had this situation here, which was the matrix as the environment with nations, and we could observe that maybe a cross-cut on it, or even a single and small interval as an index, can help to interrupt the blockchain as association observed as pandemic event, which was doing the mobilization of organized crime in a transcontinental way from local departments oriented by general premise as thematic panels, even an academic space with corruption of the youth by drug user and stimulus that had a decreasement in the near future as your capacity and will. Obviously, you took your integrity. And this model was like this at that time. This was reported on May 5, and since that you consider put me on jail on May 6, and we was complaining and reporting as our risk analysis on Risk Report 2022, tracemay.blogspot.com. The 21 was about the risks about your activity as monitoring procedure to steal data. You maybe was under the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Application of International Jurisdiction. It's a fact. You are at this situation, criminal offender. You committed crimes, serious crimes. Some of those crimes are espionage, sabotage, corruption, and white-collar crime. Did you consider any moment form groups and present yourselves at U.S. Embassy? No. You are in a situation that has no escape. The taxonomy of you all points to the institutions that you belong under qualification, and we consider that you threaten the constitutionalism, and we have theories. We exposed this during the trial, the week 1, 2, and 3. The second thing that we will have in mind, come to our present time, that we had this model yesterday considering the obstruction, and this model is quite simple, goes like this. The obstruction in general is covering crimes, but to cover crimes and allow the continuity of these crimes, optimizing the illicit behavior, the obstruction as a group must be in touch with your crimes. They are the driver that you need to chase all crimes down and have the conviction of them all. We will have in mind that we offered in the very early hours of the day the obstruction, the anti-drug police as a financial investment, considering the support as independent support made, which was an academic advice at the Supreme Court, considering events as stay in Mexico politics and the White House, even when people got inside the White House. We will suggest you to have the use as judicial power, international judicial power, and request information with our authorities, departments on areas segmented that are cloning sites cloning IP as Internet Protocol and machines, blocking the IP, which implies they block the VPN even by payments at the provider, which is the Norton, change the LAN and the one which maybe will point to cloned public DNS as Google. The area is segmented: Saquarema City, Rio de Janeiro City, Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro, which all are inside the public budget as a unique source, full of problems and with all criminals in a transcontinental way, at least since 1988, explicit reported since 2014, with events kicking off as Sports International Association on 2007 Pan American Games in Rio de Janeiro. As you can observe, Rio de Janeiro is a collinear field, at least in 3 moments: 2007 Pan American Games, 2014 FIFA Games, 2016 Olympics, 2019 COVID-19. By obvious, they can present, nothing, because it's all illegal. And we will have on mine, in my opinion, this reports closed, but we only offer maybe to you judicial power in USA, the matrix, which was at the diary, going like this. If you have a system and this system has crimes inside, and the crime is a failure, of course that people will get in touch with these crimes, and the obstruction will change the perception of those crimes to allow the continuity of this kind of activity. The obstruction group has interest in crimes committed to guarantee and ensure the continuity of crimes that had been planned, and to be properly planned must be in touch with the obstruction. Future crime. Simple. And we observe that we had something clear, that when you fight something, sometimes you get confused with things that you fight all the time. And it's recommended always to interrupt and put the officer away or something like this for a period. If you work at the narcotics, for sure you will do drugs at least 1 or 2, but sometimes you got addicted. And it's something that it's not something that you desire, but you got addicted. And we offered yesterday a financial investment by the support we did as free will. The payment deserved you will transfer to the Federal Bureau of Investigation to supply the needed treatment and rehab of officers that kind of are at this situation, and authorities equally, because the corruption sometimes will chase your family and surround you. And if you are against corruption, everybody that is surround you, sometimes people that you love, and will be against you. And we have this all the time, because the criminal is, and the criminality is something that go by cowardice, falsehood, dishonor, perfidy, and has association of this. And by this behavior observed, we decided to put you all in 3 boats and have the contradiction by yourselves during this period, that you will all be hosted at the boat, and 1 boat will be bombed, 2 will remain. You all will be under monitoring procedure like that real-time TV show that you have, and the decisions will be confirmed by the international judicial power raised as an international system by judges and authorities and members that has no corruption at the resume, I would say. Then, and they will allowed to bomb this boat by threats made against the mankind diffuse area. My responsiveness, as based on Article 5, Item 5 of the Brazilian Constitution, goes like this: as a single individual, by all threats that I suffered for you, I can say that you are a filthy animal. And you will consider another thing, that the obstruction of justice, in the way we are presenting and prove here, will be like this: you got in touch with crimes, but you had the interest and have the continuity of those crimes. And sometimes the crimes invented or under modification by payments on public departments, especially observed in Brazil, will allow you to have the continuity of those crimes. One of those crimes are kind of those that have put a sting on your image or something like this, like the sexual offender, the pedophile, and the file transferred sometimes to your machine, even when you are not home or not using your machine. And still data goes in the same way. It's the flow of information. But when you open a door, you must close another door, and this kind of thing as a circuit allows to track you. If you consider the corruption of minors, for instance, but this minor indeed is, for instance, you go to the beach and have your season as surfing or something like this, riding waves, and when you are walking to your car to go home, you have a small kid with her mother or something like this, and this small kid kind of decide to have a mobile filming you and kind of exposing itself as a kid with the mom inside the car. Maybe the mom is a bitch and the kid is a bitch in the same way used by the mom. Will trail the same kind of thing and will be the same crap in the near future. You can't run your car over this kid. And in the same way, you can push the mother through into the beach. So you kind of you clean yourself and observe the situation. But in this kind, there are no corruption of innocence as a minor, because this minor is something that is inside the criminal system. And inside the criminal system, you are outlaw. And there will be no surprise if you have kids got murdered in the same way, women, female, because there are no gender, no color, no creed, no nationality, nothing. You are an argument qualified, an object that must be eliminated. Simple to get. Then we will check that in the same way, this kind of thing, as observed and complained by an officer as deputy at the police in Brazil, which was, the name was Hélio Vigio, I think, saying that the kidnapped cases on Rio de Janeiro had an increasement, and guess what? The department of the police that must fight the kidnap is doing and planning the kidnapping. Crimes, obstruction made by records, continuity of crimes. Citation observed, thief of vehicles, auto, cargo thievery in the same way. And nowadays, the fintech crimes as white collar crimes, modification of data by payments in the same way, the murder. All things by inference, considering the two types of judicial analysis that you have, which is the inductive and the deductive. Do you consider possible that the intense obsession by pedophile and sexual crimes made by especially the federal police could have this kind of relation, which the creation of crimes associated with records made by departments, having the continuity of this kind of crime, which allows the obstruction, and these kind of things can put an authority down, international law enforcement down, and have the continuity of, for instance, your local scam serving the international crime by public department. Because maybe the transnational organized crime turns you in to achieve the privilege they need, and let you burn inside that boat. Report over. Have a good Sunday.